Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd and I just saw the new trailer for Terminator Dark Fate and I will talk about the things I liked, the things I disliked and also some spoilers from various leaks which this trailer seems to confirm, so I will give a spoiler warning when I get to that part. So first of all, the things I liked, visually this had a lot more footage, a lot more special effects. We had some more scenes of the villain, who I think might work as a villain because I remember everybody were talking about how he just looks like a normal average guy and not really intimidating. But that's supposed to be the whole point because he's an infiltration unit. He's more advanced and so he's able to look like a normal human. We can see him smiling, the way he interacts with people looks totally like a normal guy, which is the whole point. Will he work as the actual villain? I don't think a villain has to look evil and angry and all of that. He doesn't have to be. We can see it by his actions. If we see him stabbing everybody to death right after being super nice to them, in some ways it might be even more creepy like this. So I don't have a big problem with the villain yet. I guess we'll wait and see the movie to really judge it, but I think it might work. The special effects look okay in my opinion, maybe a little bit too much corny stuff like, slow motion, walking away from an explosion, not looking at it, all kinds of stuff like that which is done in so many action movies that it kind of becomes almost like self-parody. But again, I have to see the actual movie before I really judge it because maybe it will be done in that right balance, it will be done in the right moments in which it will be funny. And as for that female Terminator protector who a lot of people complain about when they first saw her because she looks too manly or something, I think she looks okay from this actual footage. I don't really have a problem with her. In fact, she kind of reminds me of Jadzia Dax from Deep Space Nine, who was an awesome female character. And so I don't really have a problem with that. I guess she could have been more sexy. Maybe it would be appeal to more men if she was more feminine and not so muscular maybe. So maybe that's the problem. One thing that I don't like about her character is that she says she's human, that she's simply enhanced, so she's not a Terminator. I guess her brain is human, and that makes it all less interesting because I think one of the things I loved in Terminator 2, in the character of the Arnold Terminator, was because he was a machine who was learning to become more human. He became more and more like a human, mostly thanks to his friendship with the kid, and so the kid was teaching him how to be human, to understand humans. And that's kind of like Data in Star Trek, who was an android who wanted to be more human. And there's something cute and charming about that, as well as simply interesting as a science fiction idea of a machine who becomes more human. And I think that's one of the things that was interesting in the story of Terminator 2. But even added that little bit of a morality tale in the end, when they said that if a machine learned the value of human life, maybe we can also. And so I love that. And that element was kind of missing from all the other Terminator movies, except maybe in Terminator 5 they did do that a little bit with Arnold. But in Terminator 4, for example, Marcus Wright was basically a human in every way. He had the body of a robot, but psychologically he was just a human, and so that was less interesting. It's more interesting to have a character of an actual robot. And so I think they're making the same mistake here with this woman from the future, who is simply an enhanced human, so it's basically like a superhero. It's not really an AI. But they do have the Arnold Terminator here as well, so maybe they'll do that kind of thing with him, so I hope they'll have some good character development and not just a whole bunch of action. But again, we'll have to watch the actual movie to really judge it. As for Sarah Connor, she was kind of being a little bit too self-confident. Like, Sarah Connor was a great character because she was a character with weaknesses and flaws who managed to overcome them and win the day, and that's why we were rooting for her so much. But here she seems to be kind of too overconfident, and that kind of makes her pompous and annoying a little bit. But again, we'll have to watch the actual movie, so it's really hard to judge anything. And visually I think this looks mostly good. We had some flashbacks from the future in which we see all those human skulls, and this time it's in daytime, so it's clearer, but it looks good. They also explain a little bit, and they say that Sarah Connor did postpone the future war of 97, which was supposed to happen in the first two movies, and they stopped it in the second movie, so she says she did manage to stop that war. But this new Terminator Protector says that you changed the future but did not change our fate. So I guess that means at some later point in the future AI still gets developed and still builds Terminators. The only problem with that is that all these new machines look so similar to those older ones, and so if this is all came from totally different circumstances, then why are they still so similar? I guess they can explain it if there were more Terminators in the past, maybe they somehow made this new version of Skynet in the future, so I guess it makes sense if they explain it properly. There were a few cool moments, so that new bad guy he's been all friendly with everybody, and then we see him stabbing everybody, and then people try to jump him, and he stabs them from his body directly from all sides immediately. I kind of like that shot because we see him fully utilizing his abilities, and one of the only flaws in Terminator 2, which I think overall is a perfect movie, and it's totally understandable at the time. They really did the special effects the best possible way they could have, and way and beyond for the time, but still, whenever I watch that movie, I kind of always felt that the T-1000 could have done a little bit more with his abilities, and so here we see this new Terminator using his abilities a lot more, so that looks like fun. I also always love that idea of shapeshifters and all that stuff. So I'm always happy to see another liquid Terminator. And another fun moment was later when Arnold unloads an entire magazine right into his face. It reminds me one of my favorite moments from T2 when Arnold climbed that truck and unloads his M16 right into the T-1000's face. Disables him for a while. That was a really cool shot, and so it reminds me of that. So I'm sure that visually this will be a very entertaining movie, just like all the Terminator movies were fun to watch because they all had great special effects. So I'm not worried about that department. However, I still think the story is the most important thing in a movie. And Terminator 1 and 2 also had great story and great characters. And here, even though we have Sarah Connor back, but all these new characters don't really look that interesting. I guess Arnold is back as well, playing a more human Terminator, and I'll get to that in a second. I guess they'll use the same excuse that this Terminator kind of aged naturally because he stayed in the past, and that's why it just looks like today's Arnold, which is fine in my opinion. They did the same excuse in Terminator Genesis. And now I'll get to the potential spoilers, so stop right here if you don't want to listen to it. And it seems to be like all those leaks about this movie are confirmed, because that part in which Sarah Connor tells the Terminator that when this is all over, I will kill you, that fits right into what I heard from those leaks, which said that the movie begins right after T2 and another Terminator shows up, a Terminator that was sent before they stopped Judgment Day, and so it didn't disappear, it still exists, and it manages to kill the young John Connor right after T2. But after that, this Terminator loses its purpose and develops a consciousness, self-awareness, and becomes apparently on the side of humanity. He wants to save humanity, and that's why he'll be a good guy in the movie, but Sarah still wants to kill him because he killed her son decades before that. And this is probably the most annoying thing about all of this, because why do that? Why kill off John Connor just to introduce new characters? Why not have John Connor as a character and maybe have him die in the movie itself? That would be better, because killing him off right in the beginning, that's like Alien 3 when they killed off all those great characters, which really annoyed the fans from the previous movies, and so it feels like the same problem. And I really don't understand why they did that, because when I first heard about this project, I heard that James Cameron is returning to do a proper Terminator 3, ignoring all those other sequels which didn't do it properly. I was so sure we'll get a good Terminator movie with John Connor as the hero, but I guess they just wanted Sarah Connor back, but they could have had John there as well, or at least not kill him off, at least make some kind of excuse that he went somewhere else to do something. He doesn't have to be in the movie, but why kill him off? So that's really annoying. Unless they do a surprise twist in the end of the movie and they have Furlong come back as the adult John Connor, and that will be a surprise twist that he didn't really die, maybe he was saved somehow, maybe by another Terminator who somehow saved his life or faked his death or something, or pretended to be him and then hid the real one somewhere. And so if they have some kind of twist in the end which would open the door for some other proper sequel, then maybe I could forgive this, but most likely they're not going to do that, and they just killed off John Connor and just got rid of him to have these new characters. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's what they wanted to do, then why not set it as a sequel post all those other sequels? Why retcon them? Why ignore those other sequels which did try to continue the John Connor story? I mean, they had a pretty bad execution of that potential, but at least they tried to do it, and so it's better than nothing. But this movie will just erase all those other sequels, and for what? To have this totally new direction? They could have set it post Genesis. Simply say this is set decades later, and that John Connor was never born in this new timeline because, Sarah Connor jumped to the future, maybe something happened and Kyle Reese died again, or they can somehow explain it away and set it all in the farther away future, and even have Arnold as a liquid Terminator. That could at least shake things up. I didn't dislike that idea in T5, so that way they could still have Sarah Connor as the hero, and they could do whatever they want without erasing John Connor completely. So I'm really annoyed at this, but maybe they'll surprise us somehow. I guess they just wanted that original Sarah Connor back, And so they had to ignore all those other sequels. They had to erase T3 and onward because they said in T3 that she died from cancer, and so they had to retcon that, and so that's why they are doing this. I think it's a missed potential. I think I was really hoping to see a proper future war. You know, at least T4 did show us that future war, that wasteland. They didn't do it properly. They didn't fit it well with those flashback scenes in the first two movies, but at least they did that kind of story set in the future war. And it did have a lot of good scenes in it. And I'll do a review of Terminator 4 and 5 in the near future, in the next few days, because I have a lot to say about those movies. I want to cover the good and the bad. But at least those movies try to do it, and this one just kind of gives up from the beginning. It says, oh, let's just get rid of John Connor from the beginning and just have Sarah Connor and let's make her an elderly badass. But I'm not sure it really works. I mean, physically, can it really be believable if we see her kind of fighting hand to hand and running around, jumping and all that stuff? Will it really look that realistic? And also, as I said, she looks kind of too overconfident, that she kind of she throws a grenade and doesn't even look at the explosion and all that kind of stuff, which can work if it's like a 90s action movie which doesn't take itself too seriously, just a fun movie. It can work, but the original first two movies, especially the first movie, works as a horror movie, and Sarah Connor was great as a character because of her fears that she has to overcome. And yet here she apparently is so overconfident, she can easily take out Terminator, so it seems to be, it's missing the whole point of what made her character so good in the first place, in my opinion. So anyway, I think this movie will probably be very entertaining visually, but story-wise and character-wise, I'm not so sure. It might be on the same level as those other sequels, and so what's the point of ignoring them if this one is going to be just like them? And so it could have been set as Terminator 6 after all the other ones, and it would still work, and so there's no point to erase all the other ones from this continuity. But I guess with time travel we can simply say all of these movies are taking place in a new timeline, each of them, and so that's the excuse. And I made several videos talking about the time travel continuity and all the mess that all these movies created. But with time travel we can explain away anything, and we can basically reboot this whole story endless times. And maybe that's what they should have done, maybe simply do a whole brand new story with new characters in a similar setting, and that's it, instead of doing this constant tie-ins and all of that, which doesn't really work. But I guess visually it will still be an entertaining movie, so maybe I'll like it. And I'm definitely going to see it. And even those bad Terminator movies, I still enjoyed them. I still think every one of them had some fun moments, some fun ideas. And I will soon do a review of all the other Terminator movies which I didn't review yet, so that's coming up next. So if you enjoy my video, hit the like button, subscribe, click the notification bell if you don't want to miss my videos. Let me know what you think in the comments below and we can discuss it, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.